America's favorite chains are falling like dominoes, and it's happening faster than anyone expected. The economic crunch, rising costs, and brutal competition are dragging even the biggest names into the abyss. These are the brands you grew up with, the ones you thought would be around forever. But guess what? They're dying. And it's not just small cracks, it's full-on collapse. From the aisles of once-bustling retailers to the fading neon lights of your go-to restaurants, these chains are on borrowed time. Stick around, because we're counting down the 20 biggest names that won't survive the months ahead. Some of them will shock you, but trust us, the writing is already on the wall. 20. Steak and Shake. Steak and Shake, the hybrid fast food and diner chain renowned for its steak burgers and hand-dipped milkshakes, is teetering on the brink of collapse as it heads into 2025. The chain has been grappling with financial instability for years, struggling to modernize its business model to keep pace with evolving consumer preferences. The COVID-19 pandemic exacerbated these challenges, leading to a significant decline in foot traffic and revenue. Despite efforts to restructure and revitalize the brand, recovery has been slow and uneven. In 2024, Steak and Shake announced plans to close additional locations, signaling a continuation of its downward trajectory. The closures are expected to impact numerous markets, leaving loyal customers without their go-to spot for late-night dining. The chain's inability to adapt to the fast casual dining trend, coupled with increased competition from more agile and health-conscious brands, has further eroded its market share. Financial reports indicate mounting debt and declining same-store sales, painting a grim picture for the future. Without a significant turnaround strategy, Steak and Shake may soon find itself relegated to the annals of restaurant history, a cautionary tale of a once popular chain that failed to evolve with the times. 19. Party City. Party City, the go-to retailer for party supplies and decorations, is facing an existential crisis as it approaches 2025. After filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in January 2023, the company managed to eliminate over $1 billion in debt and emerged from bankruptcy in September 2023, with plans to keep the majority of its 800 stores open until 2025. However, by December 2024, Party City warned that it was running out of cash to continue operations at several locations and announced plans to close all of its U.S. stores by February 28, 2025, as part of a winding-down procedure. The company's Canadian stores, owned by Canadian Tire, are expected to continue operations. The rapid shift to online shopping, coupled with changing consumer behaviors and the lingering effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, have severely impacted Party City's sales and profitability. Despite previous restructuring efforts, the company has been unable to adapt to the evolving retail landscape, leading to its impending closure. This development marks the end of an era for a retailer that once dominated the party supply market, highlighting the challenges traditional brick-and-mortar stores face in the digital age. 18. Big Lots. Big Lots, the American discount retail chain specializing in closeout and overstock merchandise, is on the verge of disappearing as it heads into 2025. Founded in 1967 and headquartered in Columbus, Ohio, the chain filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in October 2024. By December, Big Lots announced plans to cease operations, liquidate, and close all remaining stores, with liquidation sales beginning in December 2024, and all stores expected to close in 2025. On December 28, 2024, Big Lots reached an agreement with Gordon Brothers retail partners to transfer 400 stores and 1 or 2 distribution centers to variety wholesalers, with the remaining stores set for permanent closure. The company's downfall can be attributed to several factors, including increased competition from e-commerce platforms, rising operational costs, and shifting consumer preferences away from discount retailers. Despite efforts to restructure and adapt to the changing retail environment, Big Lots has been unable to regain its footing, leading to its impending disappearance from the retail landscape. 17. Bed Bath & Beyond. Bed Bath & Beyond, once a titan in home goods retail, is now in a free fall so steep it's impossible to imagine a recovery. After years of declining sales, mismanagement, and an inability to adapt to online retail trends, the chain declared bankruptcy in April 2023. Despite desperate attempts to reorganize and lean into its e-commerce platform, the company has hemorrhaged money at an unsustainable rate. By mid-2024, nearly 500 stores had shuttered, and the remaining locations are little more than skeletal reminders of its former glory. The numbers are damning. Bed Bath & Beyond reported a staggering $1.1 billion loss for fiscal year 2024, a 40% drop in revenue compared to pre-pandemic levels. The situation worsened as competitors like Amazon and Target swooped in to dominate the home goods market, offering comparable products at better prices with unmatched convenience. Efforts to introduce private label brands fell flat as customers rejected what many called cheap knockoffs of premium products. Adding insult to injury, the company's infamous 20% off coupons, once its crown jewel, have lost their appeal in an era of digital-first shopping. Analysts have blasted the leadership team for their failure to invest in modern tech solutions or streamline supply chains. A scathing report in late 2024 suggested that even loyal customers had abandoned the brand, with one former shopper stating, "Walking into Bed Bath & Beyond feels like walking into a ghost town." Unless a miracle investor appears, 2025 will likely be the final nail in the coffin for this retail dinosaur. 16. Regal Cinemas. Regal Cinemas, America's second-largest theater chain, is facing a catastrophic meltdown in 2025 that's sending shockwaves through the entertainment industry. The company already filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in September 2022, but its situation has only worsened as moviegoers continue to favor streaming services over the traditional theater experience. With consumer habits shifting, Regal has closed over 60 locations in 2024 alone, and insiders warn that more closures are imminent in early 2025. The core of the problem lies in economics and obsolescence. Ticket sales have plummeted 25% year over year, and attempts to draw audiences with luxury recliners and premium snacks haven't covered the $6.6 billion debt the chain carried into its bankruptcy filing. Meanwhile, studios have increasingly opted for direct-to-streaming releases, bypassing theaters entirely. Regal's reliance on blockbusters to drive sales has become a losing strategy, as studios like Disney and Warner Bros. Prioritize their streaming platforms over exclusive theatrical releases. Adding to Regal's woes are lease disputes with landlords, many of whom are demanding full payment after years of pandemic-related rent breaks. The company has also faced backlash from consumers for exorbitant concession prices, with a medium popcorn costing more than an entire month of a popular streaming service. Industry experts are calling Regal a cautionary tale of what happens when a legacy brand fails to evolve. Unless it can pivot dramatically, perhaps by embracing a hybrid theater streaming model, Regal Cinemas may soon become a relic of the pre-pandemic entertainment world. 15. JCPenney. JCPenney, a once mighty staple of American department stores, is spiraling toward an irreversible collapse in 2025, and it's about time someone said it. This company is beyond saving. After emerging from its 2020 bankruptcy filing, JCPenney made weak, misguided attempts to modernize its operations, but these half-baked efforts have only delayed the inevitable. Foot traffic in its stores is down a catastrophic 35% compared to 2019. And its e-commerce platform is a complete joke, trailing far behind competitors like Macy's and Kohl's. JCPenney's primary demographic, middle-class families, is shrinking due to economic pressures, and the brand has done nothing to win over younger shoppers. Gen Z and millennials wouldn't be caught dead walking through its outdated, uninspired aisles. Meanwhile, analysts have shredded the company's leadership for failing to address its bloated inventory problem, with warehouses overflowing with unsold seasonal merchandise. To make matters worse, JCPenney is drowning in debt, with interest payments consuming whatever paltry revenue the company generates. In 2024, several major landlords sued JCPenney for unpaid rent on mall spaces, further eroding its ability to operate. If you thought Sears was a slow-motion disaster, brace yourself. JCPenney's demise will be swifter, uglier, and leave even fewer survivors in its wake. 14. GNC, the vitamin and supplements retailer, is on life support, and 2025 is shaping up to be the year it flatlines. Sure, it declared bankruptcy in 2020 and closed 1,200 stores in the process, but the problems didn't end there. GNC's outdated business model, a reliance on mall-based locations, continues to haunt it, especially as foot traffic in malls has plummeted to record lows. Even more damning, the entire supplements industry has shifted online, with direct-to-consumer brands like Care of and Ritual eating GNC's lunch. Financially, the company is bleeding out. Revenue for 2024 fell by a jaw-dropping 50% compared to 2019, and its remaining stores are struggling to cover even basic operational costs. Customers have abandoned the brand in droves, citing inflated prices and pushy sales tactics. One former loyalist commented online, "I can buy the same vitamins on Amazon for half the price, and they're delivered to my door in 2 days." Critics argue GNC's leadership has failed to innovate, clinging to a brick-and-mortar strategy while competitors dominate the digital space. The company's attempt to market itself as a health and wellness hub is laughable, given its dingy, poorly stocked stores. Without a miracle infusion of capital or a major strategic pivot, GNC will likely close its doors for good in 2025, becoming just another casualty of the digital age. 13. GameStop. GameStop is the poster child for corporate denial, and its refusal to evolve will likely seal its fate in 2025. After a short-lived stock market frenzy in 2021 turned it into a meme, GameStop has failed to capitalize on its moment in the spotlight. The gaming industry has moved decisively toward digital downloads and streaming services, leaving GameStop's brick-and-mortar stores feeling as antiquated as floppy disks. Sales have cratered. Revenue from physical game sales fell by 45% in 2024 alone, and attempts to pivot toward collectibles and merchandise have been laughably insufficient to stem the tide. Even GameStop's new focus on e-commerce is a disaster, with a clunky website that frustrates customers and drives them straight to Amazon. On the financial front, GameStop's cash reserves are dwindling, and its stock price, once artificially inflated by Reddit traders, has plummeted back to earth. Layoffs have ravaged its workforce, leaving remaining employees stretched thin and customers angry about poor service. Meanwhile, landlords are demanding higher rents for the prime retail spaces GameStop occupies, and many locations are barely covering operating expenses. Let's be real. GameStop is a relic of a bygone era, desperately clinging to relevance in a digital-first world. Without a drastic, unlikely turnaround, 2025 will be the year this once iconic gaming retailer finally powers down for good. 12. Sears. Sears, the once mighty retail colossus that defined American shopping for over a century, is now little more than a walking corpse shambling through its final days. The company's rapid decline from retail dominance to irrelevance has been nothing short of spectacular, and by 2025, it's almost certain to vanish entirely. With fewer than 20 stores left nationwide, Sears is a ghost of its former self, unable to adapt to the modern retail landscape. Sears' demise is a case study in catastrophic mismanagement. Instead of investing in e-commerce or modernizing its stores, the company bled itself dry through cost-cutting and asset stripping. Its former CEO, Eddie Lampert, has been widely criticized for using Sears as his personal piggy bank while neglecting its crumbling infrastructure and customer base. As of 2024, Sears was losing an estimated $5 million per remaining store annually, a staggering figure that makes its continued operation almost comical. Adding to the company's woes, its remaining stores have become a laughingstock, half-empty, poorly lit, and stocked with outdated inventory that no one wants to buy. Online, customers have roasted Sears for its horrific shipping delays and lack of product availability. Analysts predict that the brand's few remaining loyalists will soon have no choice but to say goodbye, as Sears finally collapses under the weight of its own failure. 11. The Children's Place. The Children's Place, once the go-to retailer for kids' clothing, is in a tailspin it won't recover from. The rise of online shopping, coupled with economic pressures on middle-class families, has turned its mall-based stores into obsolete relics. By late 2024, the company had already closed 300 locations, and insiders suggest another 200 are slated for closure in early 2025. The company's core problem? It's been completely outmaneuvered by competitors like Target and Walmart, which offer similar quality at better prices with far more convenience. Meanwhile, digital-first brands like Pat Pat and Carter's have eaten into the children's place's market share, offering trendy, affordable kids' clothing with seamless online shopping experiences. Financially, the company is on life support. A 2024 earnings report revealed a 30% drop in revenue year over year, with operating losses ballooning to $90 million. Parents have also turned against the brand, frustrated by what they describe as inconsistent sizing, declining quality, and an outdated loyalty program that feels more like a scam than a perk. Without a radical reinvention, which seems increasingly unlikely, the Children's Place will soon close its doors for good, leaving yet another gap in the ever-shrinking mall landscape. 10. Bath and Body Works. Bath and Body Works, the purveyor of scented candles and body lotions that dominated the 2000s, is rapidly losing its grip on the market. By 2025, the chain may very well evaporate into thin air, crushed by a combination of shifting consumer preferences and its own inability to adapt. While the chain once thrived on mall traffic and seasonal gimmicks, those days are long gone. With foot traffic in malls down by 60% since 2019, Bath and Body Works' business model is unraveling. To make matters worse, the brand is facing fierce competition from digital-first companies like Glossier and Sephora, which offer curated beauty products that appeal to younger, savvier consumers. A scathing report in 2024 revealed that nearly 40% of Bath and Body Works' inventory is unsold by the end of each quarter, forcing the company into constant markdowns that destroy its profit margins. Customers are also turning against the brand, criticizing its overpriced products and overuse of synthetic fragrances, which no longer align with the growing demand for natural and eco-friendly ingredients. Financially, the chain is floundering. Its Q3 2024 earnings showed a 25% drop in same-store sales and a net loss of $50 million. Without a significant pivot toward e-commerce or a shift in product strategy, Bath and Body Works will likely find itself extinguished by the end of 2025, leaving behind nothing but a lingering scent of what once was. 9. Kohl's. Kohl's, the department store that once prided itself on bringing value to the heart of America, is now a textbook example of a retail disaster waiting to happen. With declining foot traffic, an outdated business model, and a string of failed partnerships, Kohl's is hurtling toward irrelevance in 2025. The company has tried everything from adding Sephora stores inside its locations to revamping its product lines. But these moves have been akin to rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. The numbers are brutal. Same-store sales dropped by 15% in 2024, and e-commerce growth has been anemic, contributing less than 25% of total revenue. Kohl's core customer base, middle-income families, has been decimated by inflation, forcing shoppers to trade down to discount chains like TJ Maxx or dollar stores. Worse still, Kohl's is drowning in inventory, with massive markdowns cutting deeply into already razor-thin margins. The company's leadership has come under fire for its lack of vision and inability to adapt to a rapidly evolving retail landscape. Critics argue that Kohl's is neither cheap enough to compete with discounters nor trendy enough to attract younger shoppers. With over 100 stores expected to close in 2025 and mounting pressure from shareholders to sell off assets, Kohl's survival is looking increasingly unlikely. 8. Olive Garden. Olive Garden, the once beloved Italian-inspired chain, is stumbling toward extinction in 2025, weighed down by an outdated dining model and an increasingly disillusioned customer base. While the chain enjoyed a brief resurgence post-pandemic, its momentum has evaporated as consumers turn away from heavy, carb-loaded meals in favor of fresher, lighter options. Olive Garden's infamous never-ending pasta bowl promotion has become a symbol of its decline. What was once a clever marketing ploy is now a financial black hole. The chain's parent company, Darden Restaurants, has poured millions into attempts to modernize Olive Garden's image, but these efforts have failed spectacularly. From tacky menu overhauls to robotic waitstaff, every innovation seems to alienate the brand's core audience while failing to attract new diners. Financially, Olive Garden is sinking fast. Same-store sales were down 18% in 2024, and franchisees are closing locations at an alarming rate. Customers are complaining loudly about declining food quality, uninspired menus, and slow service. One scathing review went viral in late 2024, describing Olive Garden as a time capsule of mediocrity and poor choices. If the brand doesn't pivot hard, and soon, it's likely that Olive Garden will be out of business before the end of the decade, leaving behind only faint memories of breadsticks and marinara. 7. Forever 21. Forever 21, the fast fashion giant that once dominated malls across America, is rapidly unraveling, and 2025 is shaping up to be the final chapter in its downfall. The brand emerged from bankruptcy in 2020 with grand promises of a comeback. But those promises have proven to be empty. Consumers are turning their backs on Forever 21's cheaply made clothing, opting instead for more sustainable and ethical options like Patagonia or online platforms like ASOS and Shine. The numbers don't lie. Revenue plunged 22% in 2024, and the company's remaining stores are operating at a loss. Forever 21's relentless push for ultra-cheap clothing has led to a backlash, with critics slamming the brand for its environmental impact and exploitative labor practices. Younger shoppers who once flocked to its stores now deride the brand as outdated and tone-deaf, with social media flooded with complaints about its poor sizing, shoddy fabrics, and uninspired designs. Adding insult to injury, Forever 21's online platform, a last-ditch effort to stay relevant, has been plagued by technical issues and shipping delays. The company's massive physical footprint in struggling malls is an albatross around its neck, with landlords increasingly unwilling to renegotiate leases. If Forever 21 survives 2025, it will be a miracle, but all signs point to it joining the growing graveyard of fast fashion failures. 6. Gap. The Gap, a brand that once epitomized casual American fashion, is collapsing under the weight of its own irrelevance. What was once a powerhouse in the retail world has now become an uninspired shadow of its former self. In 2024, Gap reported a 30% drop in revenue, and its stock price plummeted to historic lows. The company's relentless closure of underperforming stores, over 300 in the past 3 years, has done little to stem the bleeding. Analysts predict that another 200 locations will shutter in 2025, effectively gutting the brand's physical presence. The root of Gap's problems lies in its inability to connect with today's consumers. Younger shoppers see the brand as hopelessly outdated, and older customers have moved on to more reliable and better-priced competitors like Uniqlo and Old Navy, ironically owned by Gap Inc. itself. To make matters worse, Gap's e-commerce platform is a disaster, with clunky navigation and frequent outages driving shoppers away. Critics have lambasted the company's leadership for its failure to innovate, with one industry insider bluntly stating, "Gap is a brand that's been running on fumes for the last decade." With its hemorrhaging finances, cratering sales, and complete lack of relevance, Gap is on track to be a fashion relic by the end of 2025. 5. Chuck E. Cheese. Chuck E. Cheese, the once thriving family entertainment chain, is in a nosedive that even its iconic animatronic band can't save. After barely surviving bankruptcy in 2020, the chain has struggled to regain its footing. With a dated concept and declining interest in arcade-style entertainment, Chuck E. Cheese has become a victim of shifting consumer preferences. By the end of 2024, over 100 locations had closed, and franchisees are reportedly abandoning ship due to plummeting profits. The brand's core appeal, noisy arcades and mediocre pizza, has been rendered obsolete by modern family entertainment options. Parents now prefer experiences like trampoline parks, escape rooms, and esports arenas, leaving Chuck E. Cheese looking like a relic from the 1990s. Financially, the numbers are bleak. Revenue fell by 25% in 2024, and the chain's debt load is unsustainable. Social media has been merciless, with videos of malfunctioning animatronics and desolate dining areas going viral and further tarnishing the brand's reputation. Even desperate gimmicks like delivery-only Pasquale's Pizza have failed to turn the tide. Unless it undergoes a radical reinvention, Chuck E. Cheese will be nothing more than a childhood memory by 2025. 4. Victoria's Secret. Victoria's Secret, the lingerie empire that once defined sex appeal in the retail world, is imploding in spectacular fashion. After years of declining sales, the company's so-called reinvention has been a complete failure. Attempts to embrace inclusivity and modernize its image have alienated its traditional customer base without winning over new shoppers. In 2024, the brand posted a staggering $250 million loss, and its market share continues to evaporate, overtaken by younger, more dynamic competitors like Savage X Fenty and Aerie. The company's stores are rapidly becoming ghost towns, with many customers criticizing the high prices, poor quality products, and declining customer service. Victoria's Secret's once legendary fashion show, which it brought back in 2023 after a 4-year hiatus, was a PR disaster, criticized for being out of touch and failing to resonate with modern audiences. Worse still, Victoria's Secret is losing its grip on the lucrative e-commerce market. Its website is plagued by technical glitches, and shoppers have lambasted the company for shipping delays and poor packaging. Retail analysts are calling the brand's current trajectory irreversible, with many predicting mass store closures and a likely bankruptcy filing by mid-2025. If Victoria's Secret doesn't execute a complete overhaul, and fast, it's destined for the retail graveyard. 3. Rite Aid. Rite Aid, the beleaguered pharmacy chain, is in freefall, and 2025 is shaping up to be the year it finally collapses. After filing for bankruptcy in late 2023, the chain has been closing stores at an alarming rate, leaving swaths of customers scrambling for alternatives. By the end of 2024, more than 400 locations had shuttered, with analysts predicting another 300 closures in the first half of 2025. The root causes of Rite Aid's demise are clear: relentless competition from CVS and Walgreens, skyrocketing operational costs, and a complete inability to adapt to modern consumer expectations. Rite Aid's attempt to stay afloat through restructuring has been a disaster. Its e-commerce platform is practically non-existent, leaving it decades behind competitors who have seamlessly integrated online and in-store services. Meanwhile, customer complaints have reached a fever pitch, with reports of understaffed stores, prescription delays, and empty shelves tarnishing what little reputation the brand had left. The financials are dire. Rite Aid posted a staggering $650 million loss in 2024, and its mounting debt is now unmanageable. Critics have blasted the company's leadership for poor decision-making, with one industry expert calling it a masterclass in how not to run a business. Unless a miracle investor steps in, Rite Aid will almost certainly declare liquidation by the end of 2025, marking the end of an era for the once prominent pharmacy chain. 2. AMC Theaters. AMC Theaters, the world's largest movie theater chain, is crumbling under the pressure of changing consumer habits and crippling debt. After narrowly avoiding bankruptcy in 2021 thanks to a meme stock rally, AMC has been on life support ever since. The pandemic permanently altered the entertainment landscape, with streaming services now dominating how people consume content. By 2024, AMC's attendance had dropped by 40%, and revenue had fallen by a catastrophic 50% compared to pre-pandemic levels. The company's desperate attempts to lure customers back, like premium seating, dynamic pricing, and high-end concessions, have only driven away more patrons. Critics have slammed AMC's $25 ticket prices as absurd in an era when people can watch new releases at home for a fraction of the cost. To make matters worse, AMC's enormous real estate footprint is a liability, with landlords demanding full rent payments on theaters that are barely breaking even. Financially, AMC is drowning. The company carries more than $4 billion in debt, and interest payments are eating into what little revenue it generates. Insiders report that morale is at an all-time low, with layoffs and location closures accelerating. Without a seismic shift in its business model, AMC Theaters is poised to shut its doors for good by the end of 2025, taking the big screen experience down with it. 1. 99-cents only stores. 99-cents only stores, once a staple for bargain hunters across America, is on the brink of disappearing entirely in 2025. The discount retailer, which built its brand on the promise of cheap and cheerful finds, has fallen victim to its own unsustainable business model and a rapidly changing economic landscape. Inflation has driven up the cost of goods so dramatically that keeping prices low is no longer feasible. By the end of 2024, nearly 150 locations had closed, and reports suggest that even more will shut their doors in the first quarter of 2025. The chain's problems go far beyond rising costs. Competitors like Dollar Tree and Dollar General have aggressively expanded, eating into 99-cents only's market share with more modern stores and a wider selection of goods. Meanwhile, customers have been abandoning the brand, frustrated by the shrinking number of true 99-cents items and the increasing prevalence of overpriced premium products on its shelves. Financially, the situation is dire. The company is drowning in debt, with a staggering $500 million in liabilities as of late 2024. Leadership has been widely criticized for failing to adapt to changing consumer demands, with one industry insider calling their strategy a masterclass in mismanagement. Attempts to pivot to e-commerce have been laughable, with a glitch-ridden website and limited online inventory doing little to attract modern shoppers. In-store conditions have further tarnished the brand. Reports of poorly stocked shelves, disorganized aisles, and understaffed locations have flooded social media, with one viral TikTok describing the experience as a scavenger hunt in a post-apocalyptic world. Unless a dramatic turnaround occurs, 99-cents only stores will likely be completely defunct by the end of 2025, marking the end of one of America's original dollar store chains. And there you have it, the 20 biggest chains in America that are on the brink of disappearing. It's a harsh reminder that no brand is too big to fail, and the landscape of retail and dining is shifting faster than ever. If your favorites are on this list, now might be your last chance to visit before they're gone for good. Stay tuned for more hard-hitting updates, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for the stories no one else is telling. See you next time.